recording later on. Okay, great. So you can see my screen. Please drop a comment in the chat section so I can confirm that you can see my screen. Yeah, so just drop a comment there. Let me know. Great. Okay, fine. So I started by saying that the assignment, most of you took me unawares. You did so much. It was nice to see you guys attempt to do that much. It was really beautiful. Like I'm really really glad that all of you actually took out time to do the assignment. You know, today we go into more difficult things, but at the end of the class, it's going to be very very simple because of course I always tell my students that it's difficult until you know how to do it the easy way. So that's how it goes. So let me just run a quick recap. This is Figma, the platform we are using. When you're done designing, this is where you click to share the link, which most of you did, but I think about two persons made a mistake with that, and but they corrected themselves later on. I dropped a comment on someone's Figma. I think what is his name? I dropped a comment and he saw it, so that was really nice. On Figma, you can collaborate. More of that to come later, anyways. So this is Figma. This is where you do some of your basic setup. This is for your move tool. Click on an element and you move it around. This is for creating frames. This is for rectangles, pen tool, the text tool, and then this guy, which we are going to go into today. All right, so let me accept a couple more persons. Okay, layout grids for UI design. In the last class, uh, we talked about auto layout, and we basically took the introduction to Figma. Today, we are going into layout grids for UI design. So we need to mark this word layout grids. So I'm just going to change the color to, let's say, a red. No, no, no. Let's do this one here. And then the next thing we have today is auto layouts. Auto layouts. I'm just going to do the same thing to it, give it a different color this time. Let's give it a blue. And then the next thing we have is the horizontal and vertical scrolling. So all of that is basically important. So let me just leave it the way it was. And then we are using WhatsApp as a case study. So I'm just going to type WhatsApp. Hope my spelling is correct. I hope my spelling is correct. So if it's not correct, please go to court. All right. Layer grids. What is that? This layer grids? Let me show you guys something real quick. I'm going to go to jumia.com. Then I'm also going to go to alibaba.com. Let me show you something. Look at Jumia, for example. See this space here. Like you see all this space you have on the left, all this space you have on the right. It was intentional. Like this here was intentional. Let's wait for Alibaba to load. Now look at Alibaba's own. You see that space again? You see that space again? Intentional. But you see that Alibaba's own space, I'm calling it space now, but I will call it a different word in a minute or 2 minutes. So you can see Alibaba's space is smaller compared to what Jumia has. And for most of you, you have been to websites on your laptop, but you never really took notice of this space left and right. You will just come here, navigate. If you wanted to shop for, let's say, screwdrivers, you will just come here and shop and go. But now you know that there are spaces here and here, right? Now, okay, good. So this one was actually good. So that's number one. And those spaces are gotten from the layout grid. So how are those spaces actually gotten and what is the actual name for those spaces? I'm going to click on F on my keyboard or just come here and select the frame. And when I do that, of course, opens all my frames up. I'm going to go for desktop and I'm going to go for the desktop frame here. So I've clicked on it. You see how big it is compared to my text. This my text, they were very small. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I want to try and achieve what Jumia has here, which is task number one. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to start writing your assignments down. So task number one is create a desktop frame with layout grid. Hold on, let me just get this guy in here. So create a desktop frame with layout grids and the margins. Now let's do that. Let's do that so that you know what I'm talking about. Good. So when you click on the frame, remember the first thing is click on the frame. So when you click on the frame, which is what I've done, over here you can see auto layouts, right? But you see that there's nothing inside under it to show that it's actually active. Under it you can see layout grid. Now when I click on this, you have to note these steps because sometimes students miss it. But once you note it, it will become easier for you to never miss it again in your life. Basically, click on layout grid. When you do that, you see a bunch, you see all these red lines come up on my frame. They were not there before. I've removed them now. Clicking on layout grid again, you see they look like rulers. And I remember we talked about rulers in the last class. So these are not rulers because rulers are they are thicker, for example. So let's look at layout grid again. I'll click on it. When I click on it, here I have grid 10 pixels. This guy here, based on what we talked about in the last class, is for closing and opening the feature or the function. In this case, which is the layout grid, it works. The same thing works for the color. You can see the color is going doing like Nigeria's NEPA light. Now, you want to click on this nine boxes here that says layout grid settings. That is step number two. You want to click on layout grid settings. So when you click on layout grid settings, like the good person that you are, it opens this small pop-up that you can actually move around your screen. When it opens the pop-up, or when the pop-up pops up, you come here where it says grid and you click on it. When you click on it obediently, you go for columns. Click on columns. When you click on columns, you have the layout of the grid change, as you can see. Just going to admit this person. Okay. So you can see that the layout has changed. I'm going to do this again. So I'm just going to take it back to number one. Step one, click on layout grid. Step two, click on layout grid settings. Step three, change grid to columns. Good. Now that you've changed grid to columns, you can see that you have more options here that you have to flex. But before we go into this, I'm going to write down something here in addition to the assignment. Okay, so create to layout grids and margins. So here I'm going to write desktop 12 columns, tablets 8 columns, mobile, sorry. So mobile, we have 4, 3, 2 columns. But I'm going to make 4 a different color so you know that it's actually more recommended. Good. So what exactly did I write here and what are they? When you're designing a website, for example, you should notice that the website is viewed on the website is okay, good. The website is viewed on at least three major device sizes, where you have number one to be a big screen like my desktop here or my laptop, and then you have number two to be the mobile screen. Is that correct? Yes. Number two to be the mobile screen, which is what basically most people use. And then we cannot forget number three, which is usually the tablet screen. So I'm just going to make this responsive and drag it out a bit. So the tablet screen. Great. So let me accept this person. Good. It's still loading anyway, so that's why some things seem to be incomplete. So it's still loading. So okay, fine. Tablets screen. And then we had the mobile screen, and then of course we had the laptop screen size. These are more or less like the three major screen sizes that we get for software. Now, moving back to the desktop screen size, what I'm about to say is constant, meaning that you don't have to look for a second way to go about it. This is just how it's supposed to be. When you are designing for when you are designing for a desktop screen or a laptop screen, which is a bigger screen, you use 12 columns, which is what I wrote down here. You make use of 12 columns. I think I should give them the same color so that we they stand out. Now, when you're designing for the tablet screen, you make use of 8 columns. And when you're designing for the mobile screen, you make use of 4 columns. Very good. These guys, they don't want to take me back to my normal screen size. No, let's go to AliExpress. Good. Now I'm going to go to the desktop, click on it, and now I can go back to the layout grid settings where I want to turn because of the constants that I just told you. Please type in the chat box how many columns that I'm going to use for the desktop screen. Type in the chat section, let me know how many columns I'm going to use based on what you know today. So Ogo Koli says 12. Yes, a lot of you are saying 12. And yeah, kudos, that's correct. So you're making use of 12 columns. Thank you. So let me go back to the design. So under this count here, count, you just want to come there and type 12, like the diligent person that you are. When you count 12, you click on 12. When you click on 12, the next thing you want to do is change the color of these columns. Now, when I'm designing personally, I usually change them to something like this. The reason why I don't leave them as red is because it might affect my eye for the color combination of the design itself. What do I mean? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me show us a real practical of the columns in use. So let me just launch Figma there. Now, while that other Figma is loading, coming back here, I'm just going to leave it at the red here. So I'll come back to it and change it in a bit. So this here is the percentage for the opacity of the color. If I put it at 50%, you see that the red will become more visible, which you definitely don't want. That's like creating an error in your design. Type is always leave the type set to stretch, just leave it at stretch. Margin. This is where we are coming to. Margin. So everybody watch this magic. I'm going to type 200 here and click enter. What do you see? You see what Jumia had? You see those two things left and right. So initially we called them space, but now we can proudly call them margins because they are called margins. Usually I advise you use about, let's say, 120 margin, sometimes 150, and sometimes 200. It depends on what you are designing. It depends on what you are designing. But I'm going to recommend that for your assignment you use 120. Great. Now 120 for this guy. So let me just look for something here. Just wait for. Okay, so it's loading. So while that guy is loading, so I'm going to click on F for frame, and I'm going to go for tablets, 12.9 inches, 11 inches. I'll go for 11 inches. Place it by the side. So, um, quick question: how many? Sammy Extover, you said your network was terrible. Big never mean sorry about that. Class is being recorded. Just try to catch up, but definitely you can always get it recorded, but always stay online. You understand? Just try to make sure you're always connected. Can your magic be bigger on one side? Yes, it can, but that's not for your assignment today. You understand? So my question to you guys now is this: I want to create a tablet screen. How many columns should I use? Google, I did not say how many columns. I said how many columns. Wait, columns. Eight. Okay, I can see everyone saying eight, and that's correct. That's correct. So I'm just going to come here. How do I put the columns? I'm just going to click on layout grid, click on these nine boxes here. Wait, let me zoom this line. Click on these nine boxes for layout grid settings, change grid to columns, and here I'm going to type 8. Now I need to put the word, the margin, right? Because we need that space. So I'm just going to go for margin, and this I'm going to use 50. All right, so I'm going to use 50. Now I'm going to go F for frame, and this time I'm going to go for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I have it there. And then I'm going to just come back to you guys and ask you, tell me in the chat section, how many columns do you think I should use for the mobile? What is the best number of columns? Okay, that's great. So 4 columns work for the mobile. So we'll just go with 4 columns for the mobile here. So layout grid selected, come to layout grid settings, grid, and then columns, and not rows, columns, and then we go for 4 columns. The margin, now this is where it gets tricky. When you're designing for, let me cancel this. When you're designing for a mobile screen, I want you to note one thing. Mobile screen devices they don't always have all the space to accommodate margins. So you can't do too much here. So you can just put like 10. I won't even advise 20. It's a bit too much. 10. I always at like 10, anything less than 10 works fine for the mobile. Except you're doing a more complex design. Anything 10 is just okay for the mobile. So what am I going to do now? So I wanted to show you guys something on this design. So let it load. It's been loading since it's taking a while. Let me shut down some things. Great. So you can look at this now. You can see that this is a full landing page design, but you can see the application of the layout grid. I didn't even know it was still turned on. Wait, let me turn it off so that you can see. So this is a full landing page design, right? But it was designed using the layout grid. So what do you observe with the margin? You observe that the design in itself does not escape the margin. You can see that everything is sitting within the margin. They are obedient to the margin. You can see that nothing is going outside the margin except this guy. And why is this guy outside? Because this guy is a slide. You can see it's something that should slide left. So you can see that everything just sits. Look at the content. It sits within the margin. This is the essence of using layered grids. Essence number one, the margin. You want to make sure that everything is aligned. You can look at AliExpress, for example. So look, you see it's almost everywhere. You see the margin. you see that nothing is outside of the margin. You can see how it is. Jumia, the same thing. You can see all the products, everything within the margin. Now, that is number one. Number two, why do we use layer grids? So number one is to we use them to create that margin to, let's say, to create that consistency within the design top to bottom, right? Number two, why do we use layer grids? Let me say I'm drawing a rectangle here. Let's say I want to do something like what Jumia has here. You count it, right? One, two, three, four, five, six. These are six product cards. Let's say I want to do this and I want to make use of my margin. I can just easily use the margin for alignment. So you can see mine is containing four products. Now imagine I want to, let's say, reduce them, and I actually want to put them in between two columns each, something like this. You can see now they occupy two, 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 two. You can see it's two, two, two. So this will take six products. This is something like what Jumia has. It's not accurate though, because I'm actually trying to be very fast. You know what? Let me just do it accurately because you guys are going to do it for me as well. I wrote for rectangle. I'm just going to come in here and then I'm going to draw the first rectangle. So I'm just going to drag this using my Alt key. Remember, I told you guys that whenever you want to, you can duplicate normally with Control D or Control C and Control V to duplicate. But I told you guys that we do it sharply by when you click on the element, you just hold your alternate key and then you just left click and drag. Just as simple as that. So left click and drag. Left click and drag. So this is what you're going to do. Great. Now let us go to the tablet. You will never finish. Okay, one more. Great. So now let us go to the tablet and see. Imagine we want to put the columns here, the product cards here. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight columns. Eight columns. Let's say we want to make okay, make use of eight columns. I'm going to say we'll go for four. So that means one product card is going to take one, two, three, and four. And this works fine for tablets, but it's possible that they can be three. But let's just leave it at four. And then we come to the mobile phone, which you use. Normally, you know there are two. So let's just go for two. So we have one. And now you can see that it's going to get a bit bigger here. And then we have two. Great. Very great. Now, I'm going to change the color of the layout grid because I told you I do not like to use red. It's almost disturbing my eye. So I selected the three screens and oh no, let's do one by one. So I'm just going to click on this one, come over here, and then give it something like this. It's neater. It's neater to the eyes. So the color code is 625C. Yeah, it's plenty. Let me look on easier color code. Well, let me just copy the color code from here, Control C. So when I get into this one, layer grid settings, just paste it in there, and I'll just do the same thing for this gentleman as well over here. Great. So just going now that that is done, you didn't let us use the gutter number. Okay, relax. The gutter number is usually not changed. Usually maintain the same gutter number, Mr. Olagbale. But for those of you that might be asking what is the gutter number, it's one of the things you see here, the gutter. The gutter is the distance between two columns. All right. If I reduce this one to 5, for example, you can see the gutter gets smaller. But usually 20 is not a usually for mobile you can use 16, but as a beginner, leave it at the defaults. The defaults are just fine. You don't need to do more than that. Now, let me just shift these guys over here and zoom in to see what we are doing right now. So layer grids for UI design has been covered. This is just what it is. Making use of these lines to perform the ritual of alignment. Any questions for layer grid? Please type it in the chat section. Marulov, I see your question. Can you possibly use a less than 100 margin for desktop? Yes, you can. You can make use of a less than 100. You can use 70. Some people use 50, but I just choose to use 120. And you will use 120 for your assignment. Okay, any questions, please just drop it in the chat section. Let me Okay, I'll come again. I can come again. It's not a big deal. Any other questions, please drop it in the chat section. Layout grid. Is there anything you do not understand? Let me know in the chat section. My example is, imagine we were creating products for Jumia, and now we have these on desktop. The layout grid will help us align them properly on tablets and also align them properly on. So you're not guessing, like you're not guessing. Oh, in my phone it's going to be two. You're not guessing. You know why. You know why it's going to be two. All right. So you know why it's going to be two, and that's just the essence of you being a professional. So can you okay? So I'll come again, come again. Okay, yeah, I'll come again. Can you show the layout counts for tablet again, please? Okay, great. Why can't one just use one wide column? Sammy Extrovert, I need you to explain what that means. Just type your explanation down in the chat section. Let me know what you mean by one wide column. Okay, so I'll explain it again. Desktop screen size. The desktop screen, if you look at my right up here, wait, this is wrong spelling. Create a desktop frame with layout grids and margins. Desktop use 12 columns, tablets use 8 columns, and mobile use 4 columns, which is what we did over here, where we have the desktop screen size. To make the columns, the layout grid, click on layout grid. Click on layout grid settings, which is this grid here. Change grid to columns. Change the count of columns to the number of columns that it should be, which in this case for desktop is 12. If I change it to 12, I will have 12 columns. I like to change the column. Now the margin is the left and right. If you look at Jumia, the left, the right, this is the margin. You can see how plenty it is. So I was saying that I use 120. That's how we got this rules. Tablet devices, same process, 8 columns and margin of 50. Mobile devices, same process, 4 columns and margin of 10. Layout grid is important for alignment. It is very important. So I think I've answered the question. So what is the sizes of the screen, desktop, tablet, and mobile? When exactly can you use less than? Okay, network won't allow me to hear the answer. Allow me hear the answer to my question. Sorry, because if you are, I think you're able to fix it. Because if you do, is this a continuation of a question earlier on? You can use it on when you're using mobile and more when using desktop and tablet. Meme, I need you to explain what you're trying to say to me. Are you asking me a question, or are you making a statement, or are you trying to get me to understand something that you know? So just clarify me on the chat section so I understand you better. You understand? So why exactly? Okay, what is the sizes of the screen, desktop, tablets? Great question. This is desktop, for example, selected. You can see the size is 1440 by 1024 height. Now, if I increase the height, you see the height increases here. It's now at 1297. If I change this to 15, you can see it has increased here as well. So those are the sizes. To get the size of your screen, to get them from there. Okay, you are answering Maru asked in Sami too. Okay. because you will be able to say, okay, 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 great. I understand you now. So please, more questions on layer grids can come up later. Let's move to auto layouts because I think that's the next thing. Auto layout for buttons. Good, good, good. In your last design, you used rectangles for buttons. You created a rectangle and then you added a text inside that said something. But here I'm just going to use buttons. You did something like this. Now, I told you that this is for day one, but by day two, you will no longer be doing things like this. Because you must have learned a better way to get them done. Now, what is the better way to get it done? Auto layouts. So T for text, step one, T for text. Step one, T for text. Now I'm going to write, no, 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 let me write, what do I write now? I'm coming, let me write mm, Arsenal. But Arsenal drew today, which gives Man City more power to take this Premier League from them. Okay, Arsenal. Now, this is just a text, right? But this is what I'm going to do. I am going to apply auto layout to this text. And this thing I'm doing now, I'm going to do it two times. After now, I will do it twice again. But follow me still. You can see the color of the text is white, right? And that's okay. So let me make it red. Now, I'm going to right click on this and do what? I'm going to add auto layout. So now it is not what we did in the last class was we created shapes and then we just added auto layout on three of them. You remember? Now, but this one is just a text, so you right click on it and just say add auto layout. Now that I've done this, I'm going to zoom in on it and then I'm going to do it again. This is just the text. If you look here, the emblem, the logo, the identity, the corona of this Arsenal text is T. But when I add auto layout, it changes to something else. And now it has what we call a frame. I'm going to do it one more time. It is just a text. I can change the color. I can change the size to let's say 16. But when I add auto layout, it becomes a frame where the text is inside the frame. You can see it. When I click on the text here, you can see it's highlighting the apparatus within the arsenal of the arsenal. It's even the arsenal. The apparatus within the auto layout itself, which is the arsenal. But it is inside a frame because we have added auto layout. So the auto layout gives it an exterior compound, this environment, this extra field. Let me go back. Remember that when it was just a text, I'm going back please. When it was just a text, this is the amount of space it could occupy. But when you add auto layout, it has gotten more land in Lekki and Ekpe, Ikorodu, etc. So this is Lekki, this is Ekpe, this is Ikorodu, and this is Ikeja. Now, he has gotten land in all these places. If you hover on it, you will see the amount of land that he got. In this case, you can see it's 10. It's 10. Look at this. This is 10, right? Good. I will come back to that. This too is going to be 10 because auto layout is usually equal. Auto layout is usually equal. Now, frame. Text is inside the frame. The frame itself can have a feel. The frame in itself can have a feel, and a feel is what? Color. So when I click on this, it gives it a color. Good. And I can change the color. You see that I can change the color. Good. Now, that this is done. This is starting to look like a button, but if you go to the internet and let us look for a button, let's say this register, no, let's go Jumia. This search, for example, it is not looking like an actual button, this our own, because we know that this but if this was a button, this guy should have more land in Ikeja and Ikorodu. Good. So I'll stop there. Look at the right here. You can see we have the auto layout settings. But when did they come here? Good question. So I'm going to take this back to when it was just the text. You can see that there is no auto layout here. But when I right click on it and add auto layouts, we now have auto layouts here. And then I can add the field again like we did earlier on. Now, what are all these guys here? Because today I told you we are doing auto layout advanced. What are all these guys here? They are called the alignment properties that are within the scope of auto layout. Basically, just the alignment that auto layout offers. So, if for example, okay, yes. So before I come to this one, before I finish this one, let me start from this ones. This one, like we did in the last class, this one, like we did in the last class, let me take these three and apply auto layout. In the last class, we talked about the fact that this guy here represents the vertical alignment, which is what you see here. You can see that it aligned them vertically. If you click this one, to align them horizontally. Then we said this one is the distance between the elements. You can see if I reduce increase, you can see it there. If I take this to 2, I take this to 4. You see that? Good. Now, now back to our arsenal. Ikeja, no, this is Ikorodu and Ikeja need land. If you come here, you will see horizontal padding. Horizontal padding represents Ikeja and Ikorodu. Vertical padding represents Lekki and Epe. If I come here and click on what was going to happen now, let me take this guy a bit inside so that we see it properly. Okay, good, good. If I come here and I type 50, you can see that now this guy has gotten 50 plots in Ikorodu and Epe. No, in Ikorodu and Ikeja. Wait, let me delete this guy. You can see that it's now looking more like a button. Do you understand? So let me do it again. I just came over here, just going back. So let's look at this. So this is where I add what horizontal, which is left and right. This is where I add what vertical, which is up and down. So I just come here and I just do, let me do 30 this time. Now look at this. You can see 30, 30 plots. If I want to add to Lekki and Egbe, I can just come here and do, let's say 20. You can see 20, 20, 30, 30. But a realistic button will not have the top and bottom this long. So let's do the top and bottom 8. And then let's do the left and right, which is the Ikeja and Ikorodu, to be the times 2 of the top and bottom. So let's do 16. Now it looks more like a button. Good. But it does not stop there. What if you want to give Ikeja lesser land than you are giving to Ikorodu? Good question. Still under this auto layout, you have something here called individual padding, which means you can give this and leave this because you know that this is taking the two of them. Good. When you click on individual padding, you will see that it has now broken down all of them to their respective 4 different locations. So I can give the left, which is this one, I can give it 4, and I can give it 0. I can give it 8, but I will give it 16. Independent or individual paddings. One last practice for making a button is what? Making sure that you have what? Corner radius. So I just come here and do what? Let's say 12. Let's do 8. So let's do 8. So let's do 12. Okay, so they want us that in 10 minutes we have to create another link. Fine. After all, it's free. Okay, so 12 corner radius. 12. Perfect. This is just what? How to create what? Buttons using auto layout. This is, you can just come here, you can edit the properties of the text itself, you can change the colors to whatever you want. The benefit of this is this. Look at this, everybody. Imagine I come in here and I have a longer button. Look at what's going to happen. This is a button. See what auto layout does? If you used rectangle, you would not be able to do what I just did. A rectangle can only give you the shape and the text, but when you edit the text, for example, you would have to now go back to adjusting the shape. But with auto layouts, this is possible. But let me show you that sometimes students come back and say, oh, it didn't work for me. Why didn't it work for me? You need to make sure that when you are making use of this auto layout, that this, if you look at my mouse, these two guys here, which represent the left, right, top, center, are set to hug. When a boy hugs a girl, he holds the girl to himself. No, hold on. When Superman was hugging Lois Lane, he held her to himself. And when he flew, he was going up. Lois Lane did not know, of course, sometimes women are not aware, but Lois Lane did not know that he was rising her. But she was following him because of that hug. That is the power of a hug. So the vertical and the horizontal hug has to be active for this to be possible. For this, you can see how it's reacting to it. It's hugging it. That is the essence of the vertical and the horizontal hug. So with this, let us say that we have concluded how to create buttons using words auto layout. Now, questions. Questions regarding the button so that we can end the call and create a new one for the second set because Google Meet has a 1 hour limit for the free calls. Okay, I think the only question I'm seeing here, the rest they are just laughing. The only question I'm seeing here is please run that auto layout again. Can you come with the hug stuff? You don't get it. Okay, nice. So let me come again. This is a button. Right click on it, add auto layout. Add fill to the auto layout. You can see the both of them are white. I can just double click to enter into the text and change the color to blue. Now I'm just going to come here and add corner radius of 8. And the padding left and right, I just want it to be 16. So I do that from here. And then the padding for the Lekki and Epe, I'll just put it at 8. So usually I like the up and down to be divisible by 2 when divided by the left and right. That is everything I've been explaining for the last 10 minutes done in 10 seconds. Auto layout creating a button. About the hug enables this guy to respond to your typing. Let's say you are adjusting the button, it will respond to it. That is what the hug permits. You see that? If this guy was set to fixed width, this is what's going to happen. Listen, this is what's going to happen. See, you see that it's no longer going. It's no longer going. It's now going up and down. If I set this one now to fixed height, we are going to have a problem. See that it's going outside because there is no hug. Because the hug is absent. So if we hug them, then we have this. You see where the thing hug reach? That's to tell you the power of hug. Hug is powerful. Hug is necessary in the life of human beings and also in the life of what we are. So, can you indicate if there's an appropriate height for buttons? Good question. So we'll do more of that when we come back. I will send another link now so that we can reconnect and go. Will be this one again now. So that we can reconnect and continue with the conclude the auto layout properly and go into the main deal of the day, which is the horizontal and vertical scrolling, making WhatsApp your case study. So I'm just going to end the call right now. So the question was, is there any recommended size for these buttons? I think that was a question. That's how it came. The answer to that question is no. There is no recommended size for buttons. There is only a guide. And what is that guide? That your button should be clickable. For example, you look at these two buttons now. These two buttons are clickable. Imagine if the button was as small as an icon. It would not make sense. And imagine if the button was as long as maybe cutting out somewhere here. It would make sense. So the idea of the button should match with your design. For example, let's create a button on our layer grid here. Let's do something real quick. Imagine I want to create a button here. So T for text, T for text, and here I'm going to write, let's say sign up, for example. Let me accept a few more persons. So I'm creating an example for the button. So let's say I want to use 16 pixels and I don't want it to be bold. Let's say I want to make it of regular. Auto layouts, right? So I'm just going to right click on it and add auto layouts because that's the style for buttons now. Then I'm going to add fill is white, but let's say the button I want it to be this color blue background. Okay, let's just say it's a black button, then I want the text inside of it to be white. So I'm just going to zoom into this guy. Then the color reduce, I'm just going to give it like 4. Good. So the button got almost set, right? But look at the screen now. See the screen, it's a very big screen. Now this button, is it going to sit well here? It sits well in this particular margin, and that's okay. But this button is small. It's small because I feel it's too tiny compared to the amount of information it's carrying. So what I'm going to do is give it some land. So I'm going to give it 16 left and right, and then give it 8. Look at it again and see much better. So it sits well on the desktop. You see that it sits well on the desktop. But we have the columns to observe. You see where layer group comes in. We have the columns to observe. And I want to design in such a way that I'm meeting the columns. So I might just come here and drag this guy over here. I'm doing something that I won't advise you to do. And then I will just align this guy to center and have this sit there as my button. I'm only trying to answer the question of what's the recommended size for buttons. Okay. So like I'm saying, what I'm saying is that there's no recommended size. It's all about designing the button to make sure it's clickable. If, for example, I was designing a website that had, let's come to this one first. Okay, look at this one, for example. Look at this button here. So, turn on the layer grid. See the button here. So, let me see. You see, this button it's not in auto layout. This button is in a group. It's not in auto layout. But this is not your usual group. It's the advanced grouping. So let me look for one that is in auto layout. I think this one. Trying to look for one that I put in auto layout. All I'm seeing here is just advanced grouping. The auto layout is more or less on the elements themselves. Okay, let me check. Let me check the dashboard. Let me see. Okay, all I did in this one, these ones are grouped. Okay, let me see this one here. All of these ones are basically advanced groupings. No automatic layouts in this one. Okay, so but what I'm trying to say is that there is no one way to getting it done. If this is what is convenient for you on this design, you keep it at this. If this is what's convenient, keep it at this. But don't do something that is weird. Follow what has already been done. Don't do a button for sign up and it's as long as this. It is weird because you won't find the sign up button this long. You understand? So it's going to be weird. So you can have it somewhere around here. Just sit down there and that's okay. And if you're creating, let's say, the login button, of course, you can just have the, let's say you have the login here. But what we'll do for the login is we'll remove the auto layout field and just, leave only the text there. But this time the text is going to be the one that is black. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do it again. So this is what it was before. So I'm basically just removing the color, the fill. But you know that this guy is white, so it's not going to show if I remove the fill. So if I just remove it, you see it looks like nothing is there. But if I double click, I know the text is there. So I'm just going to change that text to black, and then I'm going to, you see this auto layout frame that we removed the fill. Instead of adding a fill, I'm going to add a stroke to it. You can see it being used somewhere around here. Okay, no, this one is a secondary button. Let me see what if it's used on Jumia. Just hold on. Let me see. I think it was Walmart that actually had that in Mars. Let me see. Yeah, something like this. I'm trying to do something like this with the stroke instead of having the feel. Anyway, so let's just get it done. We need to move. So I just come here and then I add stroke. You see that instead of adding the feel, I add stroke. So I removed the feel because this is what the feel was before. It was black, So I removed it and I just added stroke. So that's how. So that's like I said, there's no one way to doing the button in terms of dimension. You just have to have seen enough designs to know that, and enough websites to know that okay, this is how it should be done. This is how it should be done. You understand? So that's just basically the way that it works. How to remove background? No, that's something of yesterday, but I can touch it later on. No, but not now. We need to move. We need to move. Let's fly. Let's fly. Okay, good. The third thing, because now we've covered auto layout, so let's say in your tasks, what you're going to do for me is going to write it down here as number three. Create, going to create four buttons using carbon design style. Good. So I'm going to highlight this one and I'm going to paint it purple. Why? Because now I'm taking you into something else. Remember, I told you beforehand, I told you before time that today's class was going to be very intense. You're learning a lot of things at once. That is why I'm taking out time to write down what I expect you to do. So great. So create four buttons using, let me include auto layouts here so that the no go talk to the no CM using auto layouts and carbon design style. Great. So what exactly is carbon design style? How many of you are using Android phones? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I know that at least 70-75% of us will be using Android phones. Now, how many of you are using iOS phones? You don't need to tell me that as well. But I'm sure that a lot of us are using iOS phones as well. Now, iOS is a design system. Why? Because the way WhatsApp is on iOS is different from the way WhatsApp is on Android. WhatsApp on iOS versus Android. Let me see that. Let me see what we have there. You can see here it's clearly stated that WhatsApp Android and iOS features are not the same. So WhatsApp on Android is not the same way it is on iOS. They have different designs, but you may not have noticed it because well, all you just do is just use the app, use the software. The design for an iOS app is usually different from the design for the Android version of that app or software. It's usually different. So let me see if I can see a picture that can do side by side of what these guys are. Let me start with let me click this one. Good. So look at this for example. This is Android and this is iOS. Let me copy the picture. I'm going somewhere with this. Just follow me patiently. Of course, just make sure that you are following me patiently. I will explain everything including the carbon design style. So look at this now. I'm just going to paste this picture in here. So let me paste the picture. Sorry, maybe I didn't take it properly. Let me copy it and let me paste it here. You paste that you know paste. Good. So that's great. So look at this now. This is Android and this is iOS. Now you can look at the Android version and see that WhatsApp is clearly here, but it's not here. iOS people see something like this. WhatsApp have to go WhatsApp have to go to like status. Not WhatsApp, rather Android. iOS people see this view. iOS people have this nav bar. iOS people cannot differentiate between their iPhone calls and their WhatsApp calls. It's all about how and what the design system represents. So WhatsApp on iOS is not the same as WhatsApp on Android. So we have the Android design style and we have the iOS design style. Sorry. We have the Android design style and we have the iOS design style. That's correct. Now, back to this. So, what exactly is the Android design style? The Android design style is called Google Material Design Style. Google Material Design. Because Google basically majors on Android. I think Google even owns Android by a far margin, if not entirely. So Google are the ones that design the Android. And of course, iOS is designed by Apple, right? Well, Apple is designed by iOS. Now, I'm just waiting for this one to load. So both of them have their different design styles. But what your assignment is carbon design style. Why? Because I noticed that Google Material Design is difficult to understand at once, but carbon design style is easier. Now, let me go and type carbon design buttons. It's basically what you're going to do. So I'm just going to get the link and share to the chat section so that all of you can read it or reference it for your assignment. So let us read what the carbon design style is saying. Buttons are used to initialize an action. Button labels express what action will occur when the user interacts with it. That is the label of a button. For example, what they are telling you is that if this is search, the label here is search. It tells the user that when you click on this button, it should perform a search. That's what carbon design is saying. Now, here you have overview, blah, blah, blah. So look at the overview. Buttons are what? Clickable elements that are used to trigger actions. All of these things, we'll discuss it on a separate day. Carbon design system is a separate discussion. But what I want you to just go to do is the variants. So you're creating 5 types of button, right? That's just what I want you to know. You're creating a primary button, a secondary button, a tertiary button, a danger button, and a ghost button using auto layout. Make sure your own is aligned center. Carbon design own is aligned to the left, and that's fine. But yours should be aligned to the center. What do I mean? What I mean is simple. What I mean is this. Um, come over here. For example, let me get rid of this guy. Let me do it from scratch. So let's say your text you're using is button. So auto layouts, good. Color, I'm going to give it blue because I am trying to create the what now? The primary button. So 8 up and down, 16 left and right, corner radius 4 or corner radius 8. No, not 48, corner radius 8. Done. Make sure the text, anyways, the text should not be bold. You could use regular or medium. So you just use regular. Done. So what you just need to do is okay, fine. Name it primary button so that you will know it's primary button. Name it primary button. So what's the next thing you want to do? Create the next type of button, which is what? The secondary button. The same color you see here, use it. The same color, everything you see here, do it like that. What is a ghost button? A ghost button is basically like this primary button, but the difference is that the ghost button does not have the fill. That's all. It's a ghost button, doesn't have a fill. Tertiary button. Tertiary button is just like all of these guys, just like the tertiary button does not have a fill, but it has a stroke. And let's say in this instance, let's give the stroke blue. That's what it did here, blue. So text blue, stroke blue. So we just come here for the text as well. So from white to turn it to blue. So you just name this one tertiary button. See that the assignment is not difficult. So this is going to be ghost button. You are doing this so that you can familiarize yourself with the way buttons work. That's why you're doing this. So you're going to create the 5 types of these buttons that you see here on Carbon Design System or Carbon Design Style. So that's what I mean by that assignment. So let me just go over there. Going to close this tab. So let's go back to the assignment, please, and let's see. So number 3 is sorted out. I'm looking at the time now and trying to figure out if we can go for the horizontal and vertical scrolling. It's like the main event, but I think that this 3 uh, is already plenty, and I feel like we should halt here and consider the horizontal and vertical scrolling as a separate topic. With the next few subtopics to come, the next class by Wednesday. So I feel like this is enough assignments for Monday and Tuesday so that we meet again on Wednesday. So let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I want to hear from you. Let me not go into this regional product because some of you might even start yawning and sleeping because It's going to be it's easy, but I can't say you understand it until I take it like 3 times. So which design style is used for desktop and tablets? Good question. One design style is used for all of them, because a design style basically tells you, okay, this is how we choose for you to design. Look at this, for example. um let's say we come here and click on checkbox now, for example, carbon design style, because that Google material design is taking a lot of time to load. It's very heavy. So let's say you come here and click on checkbox. Now it's going to tell you how they use checkboxes carbon design style. So you say when to use, can be used in forms on a full page, in modals, or on side panels. Terms and conditions, blah blah blah. Instances, when not to use. This is when they say you shouldn't use them. This is when they said you should use them. Live demo, developers how to apply the code. Formatting, anatomy, explaining what they are. So number one is group label, which is optional. Number two is checkbox input, which is this one. Number three is checkbox label, which is this one. So basically, a design style is going to explain how they want you to design. You can use it for anything, desktop, tablets, whichever one. But do not think much about design style. Just use the button. Use the button. I just introduced it, all right? So all you just have to do is use the button and okay, please can you come again for the carbon design style? Great. I'm going to do that again for you. So a design style is a set, let's say it's like a rule of law, or a set down principle, or step by step process that a particular system has come up to say this is how we want you to design. This is how we know that it's best for you to design. So Google has come out and they've said, okay, you know what? We have Google Material Design Style. This is how you should design. It's different from this one. I'm telling you. If I open Google Material Design Style for buttons, you would not see 5 types. It's about 9. Do you understand that it's about 9? So the carbon design style, I don't want to explain it in details so that I don't confuse you more, because I can't answer your questions now so that you don't get too much into your mind. But what I want to tell you is that create these 5 buttons using auto layouts. But bear in mind that you are using the carbon design system or style. Okay, so in creating the carbon design buttons, giving names to the folder buttons, or I just want to redesign them with the original name. You are naming them with their original names. You are naming them with their original names. So, okay, Sammy says, can we have the record link tonight? Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I can send the link tonight. Doyemi says, thank you for the classifier. But I think I understand your use better, and can it be referred to as an example? An architecture design what this brings to reality. Let's see. Okay, Doyemi, to answer your question, um, UI UX design, an example relating to architecture is like, let's say you want to build a house. You need an architect to design what the house is going to look like. The UX designer is that architect that is going to design where the door will be, where the windows will be. Are you going to have an AC? Where is it going to come from? That is the UX designer. The UI designer is going to design things like, what's the color of this house? The window panes, are we going to have a different color? You understand? Those decorations, the color, the look. The UI designer is concerned with what the user will see. The UX designer is concerned with what the user is going to feel. The ihunanya, the heart, touching the soul of the user. That is the job of the UX person. Okay. So is landing page same as home page? This question was asked to me uh, today by 2 students. Landing page is in digital marketing, just to digress, is like a page for one particular product. So let's say Mr. Marolov or Mrs. Marolov, let's say you are a vendor and what you sell is bags, right? Landing page is you advertising your bag, one bag. You do everything about it and then you just run an advert on it. So whenever a user clicks on the advert, they come to that page that tells them everything about your bag. That's landing page in digital marketing, right? Now, in UI design, most times when we say landing page, it can refer to something like this, which can also be called the home page, right? But I prefer to call this a home page than to call this a landing page, because a landing page, by definition, let us check Google. Let's see if I'm correct. Landing page meaning. Let's see. So you can see that a landing page is a standalone web page that a person lands on after clicking through from an email, ad, or other digital location. So you see that. So a landing page usually, oh, I clicked, is that usually connected to adverts, or just talking about a particular product or something. But the homepage is different. You understand? A homepage is different. You can see that there are menus. There's this menu bar here. All of these guys are pages as well. So this is not a landing page. This is the home page for this particular website. Yeah. So that's it. Please, can you send your Figma's design link? Yes, I can. But the question is, why do you need the link? I would prefer that I I prefer that you guys do the assignments and grow. I don't want you to take too much into your mind. If you go through my design, you might see a lot of things that you're going to question. You're going to ask me a lot of questions that you should not be asking immediately. You understand? So let's just chill with the design links, and you promised to send us the videos for the remaining two landing pages and some shortcuts. Hmm. I sent shortcuts to the group. I think yesterday. I sent shortcuts. They promised to send us the videos for. Okay, I know what you're referring to. Okay, the app you guys designed, right? Yes, I said I was going to design the extra tool and send you a video on how it was done. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But I've been so busy. I've had about two classes yesterday. I had about two classes yesterday. I think yes, two classes yesterday, and today as well. You know how Sundays are. So I've not really had the time to actually do that. But what I believe is that with the WhatsApp example, you can substitute it for that, because the idea with the WhatsApp case study that we're about to do, the WhatsApp example, is to still do the things that you would have done in those two app pages. Please, they are not landing pages. Those two pages, right, or screens. Okay, so it's almost the same thing. So you don't have issues. So when we go into the WhatsApp, you will figure out how to even do those ones even better, and you probably shock me and even do it. You understand? Please, can we still submit the? Please, for those of us that are yet to, okay. Please, I want to plead for the group to be open for me to submit my day two assignments. Okay, great. For those of us that are yet to send in our assignment, okay. Yeah, so tomorrow basically there will be another time to send assignment. Let's say like maybe like 12. I'll let you guys know. Okay, send your assignments for the next 30 minutes. You know the drill, just how flow, and then you just send it. You have no issues, you don't have any issues. Please shed more light on those five button types. I would have loved to shed more light, but we are not discussing carbon design style today. I told you that. Okay, so the five designs buttons you're doing, all you're doing is just color, take the name, note the kind of button it is. That's all. You're not doing much there. Okay, so having Figma on the phone seems strange. No, you can't use Figma on your phone to design. You can only use Figma to view your design prototype. If we did the WhatsApp today, you should be able to use Figma to just scroll your WhatsApp. And it's going to perform like an actual application. So that was the idea. That's why I said install Figma. But because I just wanted to make sure that auto layout was properly understood, we just have to reschedule for the WhatsApp class. You understand? Yeah. And yes, you promised to send us short codes. Yeah, I sent short codes actually. I sent short codes, but someone mentioned that the short codes were only usable for Windows PCs and not MacBooks, etc. So what I will do is I will see how I can send the short codes again, and as well send the short codes for MacBook as well, iOS or macOS rather. Okay, any more questions for the young man on the microphone tonight? Any more questions for me? Our person go dey join where we dey summarize. It is well with you, Mr. Etijala. Welcome. Any more questions for me, please? So the link will be ready tonight. I'll be sending the link tonight. And what else will I be doing for you guys tonight? Yeah, I'll just be sending the link tonight so that you guys can go through the class if you want to start the assignments. But I really hope that we understood layout grids and auto layouts. This true. I really hope that we did because it is one of the foundations. It is one of the foundations of UI design. It is one of those foundations. When we go into responsive design, we'll be making use of layout grid so well, we'll be making use of auto layout so well, you know, because these are the parameters that are available to the adventure of the progress of UI design. So you have to make sure that it is properly understood. So go through the video as much as you can. How many times you go through it does not matter as long as you get so good at it. Do you understand? So where do we place the carbon design styles below the grids? No, 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 no. The buttons you just design them on their own, just like this. Just make the five of them. Design the five of them. You can put it in a rectangle so that it's just very visible. Just do something like this for me. Ghost button, danger button, all of them. Just name them like this. That'll be lovely. Can you give us the assignment questions on WhatsApp? Okay. Ayandola, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I feel you too. Thanks, thanks. I can, yeah, I can actually do that. Let me just do something real quick. So I'm just going to give these guys auto layouts, and then I'll give them a fill. So it looks like this. Then let me just step down the color a bit to black. So I'm just going to save it so that I can just. So I'll send this picture to WhatsApp so that you can use it. You understand? So you can use it. Four buttons? No, it should be five buttons. It should be five buttons. So let me just resend it. Okay. Any more questions from me, please? I think that is all. So that's it. That's it for tonight. I hope you learned something. I hope it was really impactful. Just drop a comment. Let me know how you felt. Let me know how it was for you. Hope it was really nice for you guys. Hope you enjoyed yourself basically, Sha. Because at the end, I always tell you guys, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're enjoying yourself. As a person, hope you're enjoying yourself. So that's all we're going to do for tonight, and by Wednesday we should have the next class, the next section, day 4, and we still have about 4 weeks ahead. That's about a month. You will be good, like you'll be so good. You'll be so good at what you do. You would have learned a lot that you would stand out. You would stand out really. um, why use Figma instead of Adobe XD? I prefer Figma. All my developers prefer Figma. In short, let me put it this way: all the Indian developers I know prefer Figma. They prefer Figma because it's easy to collaborate on Figma and prototype as well. So that's it for tonight. I hope you learned a lot. Who be your father? Who be your father, Joe Samson? I don't understand you. I don't understand you at all. Who's your father? So that's it. Thank you guys. Just make sure you do your assignments. You're just doing the best for yourself really. In the next 5 weeks, you would be you will be so happy at yourself for committing this amount of time. All right, so that's it. So let's leave now. I'm waiting for you guys to leave so I can end the call. Thank you so much. Let me stop the recording.